Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Patrick Harvie is, of course, a failure in every single way. By any metric, the man has failed. He's failing at his job, he's failing at life, he's failing at being even a decent human being. And we have another example here, where in order to try and promote the active life and get people out of cars and onto bikes, and he sets up a scheme. Things like every child will have a bike, which never materialised. But he set up this thing, and he had this active travel czar who was supposed to do this role of pushing this big bike push, if you will. And now it emerges that after she left the role in September, it was because he didn't even talk to her once. Because he doesn't function as a human being, does he? He just doesn't. He doesn't understand that human beings need to communicate. He just does it by diktat. You will do this, you will do that, you will do something else. Then he wonders why everybody pushes back and says, "Oi, Harvie, sod off." Because he's a prick, isn't he? Anyway, we're going to have a look at this, see why this is another failure, why he tries to build these relationships with people and nobody wants to know. Because everybody who ever meets him realises what an obnoxious little turd he is and then just don't want to know. Never mind. Let's have a look and see where this one's going. Here you go. So, Patrick Harvie's strained relationship with his own active travel ambassador revealed they shared no correspondence for a year. Now, you have to wonder who's not talking to who, but I suspect he just basically doesn't want to talk to anyone because he's quite a sociopath, isn't he? He hates people. Except baby killers. He quite likes baby killers, but everyone else, he hates them. The Scottish Greens Minister was blasted for failing to help improve cycling in Scotland during his time in office by his own active travel czar. Funnily enough, not only has he failed at cycling, he's also failed at recycling. Badoom tish. Anyway, Patrick Harvie's strained relationship with his own active travel ambassador was revealed as the pair shared no correspondence for a year. Lee Craigie blasted her former boss as she left the role in September, as she hit out at the amount of bureaucracy after their brief. The Scottish Greens Minister is charged with getting more Scots out of their cars and onto bikes. Have you seen Scotland in the winter? You don't want to be on a bike, it'll kill you. Anyway, he's so far fronted a number of failed projects. Well, every project he's ever attempted has been a failure, destined to be so. The man's a moron. He hasn't got a qualification, he hasn't got a clue. Do you expect this to be anything other than a dismal failure? Anyway, this includes his free bikes for all children in need, which was quietly handed off to another charity, but not before racking up a £4 million bill for the taxpayers, which meant the public paid £1,054 for a bike, for every single bike. You can buy a bike for 120 quid. You could more or less got 10 bikes for every one they did buy. And it's just ridiculous. But again, failure after failure because the guy's got the IQ of a rabbit. Anyway, he worked alongside Miss Craigie, who had been the ambassador for Active Travel Scotland for 4 years until she stepped down, with a stinging rebuke towards the Scottish Government. Everyone stingingly rebukes the Scottish Government as soon as they come into contact with them. She claimed that they weren't working hard enough to get people cycling. Well, it's up to the people. You can't force people to cycle, can you? The Scottish Daily Express can reveal that the pair must have a strained relationship because they did not contact each other through official channels for all of 2023. There was just one small email between the former mountain bike champion and a special advisor, and it was about her open letter. It read, "I wasn't able to make last Friday's meeting with Patrick, but I know you had a chat about the open letter, which I'd said I'd follow up. Are you free for 5 minutes sometime this week to speak by phone?" And that was it for a year. Unbelievable, isn't it? But again, I say it's unbelievable. It really isn't, is it? It is Patrick Harvie after all. And so we don't expect success in anything he does. The man is truly a moron of first water, isn't he? Anyway, Miss Craigie wrote a retort to Mr. Harvie after she stepped down, where she condemned the SNP executive's reluctance to focus on ensuring a behavioural shift for Scots to cycle, and also obsessing over bureaucracy, which she claimed has resulted in many active travel projects failing to see the light of day. But as I say, people don't want to ride bikes. You can't force them into it. You can encourage them, and that's fine. but you can't really moan when people say, no, it's okay, love, I pass, I don't want to do it. Anyway, the letter was a blow to the Scottish Greens leader, who styled himself on being a champion of bikes. Well, he does do a lot of riding. Leave that one there hanging. He says, and of having an impact in government due to the Butte House Agreement. Well, he certainly had an impact in government. He's failed at everything. Everything he's touched has fallen apart. He's led to the SNP becoming very much seen as a toxic party, thanks to their, I can't say support of the Greens, but unquestioning obedience of the Greens. And many people see them as toxic, and even within the SNP itself, it's seen as time has come for them to, parting of the ways, as it were. Anyway, she said it was frustrating and disappointing, lack of collaboration and levels of bureaucracy halting progress, which needs to be addressed in the future. She said, I've witnessed comparatively large sums of money being spent ensuring bureaucratic processes were adhered to, while inexpensive, person-centred, creative projects that value people and may have better engaged younger or harder to reach audience were drowned in procurement processes or dumbed down to avoid any possibility of debate or controversy. Good Lord, you think it's dumbing things down? They weren't dumbing it down for the people, you know that, don't you, darling? They were dumbing it down so people like Patrick Harvie could understand it, because he's not very bright, He has trouble with concepts. Trying to explain something in the abstract to him is quite beyond his limited powers of reasoning. Miss Craigie is a former British cyclocross and 24-hour mountain bike champion and was appointed as Scotland's ambassador for active travel in 2019. Nice job. I wonder how much she's being paid out of the public purse to do the role. Bet it's quite a lot for nothing, because she's another thing she's failed at. But I bet it's been an expensive fail like everything else. But this was before Mr. Harvie took office and before taking on a 3-year role as the Active Nation Commissioner. Again, as more public money. In the letter to the Greens MSP, she added that active travel directly infiltrates so many policy areas that it should be considered a super policy, whatever one of them is. Transport is a social justice issue. No, it's not. Yet reduces our health inequalities and our carbon emissions, and it should be at the heart of every policy made by every department of the Scottish Government. Yeah, that's right, because animal welfare, when you're travelling trucks down the from the Highlands into town or whatever, that's easily done when you're on a bike, isn't it? Stupid bint. I mean, it's stupid all the way through. Another fail. Fail. Do you think people who live in the Highlands want to get around the Highlands by bike? Might be alright if you're a super duper fit person like you. But, most people are just not capable of doing it. And that's why they invented cars. Because they're better for the environment, for a start, than horses. People don't like that, but it is true. Anyway, we shall stop there. I shall come up and round off. But it is just another example of yet again, another fail, of course, but another fail based partially on his stupidity and partially on his inability to function as a normal human being. No wonder these things fail so often. Anyway, going to round off and come up. Must be fairly awful waking up every morning, looking in the mirror and seeing Patrick Harvie's face looking back at you and wondering, I wonder what I'm going to fail at today. Because that's his whole life, isn't it? Fail after fail after fail. Depressing. It's no wonder he's got no joy in his life, and it's no wonder he wants to make everyone else as miserable as him. But hey-ho, there we go. Oh well, I'll finish that one there. We can move on because there's going to be more stuff during this week. More failures, because again, he can't help himself. But we'll leave Patrick for the day. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video, and I will speak to you later. Bye.